Hey everyone, I'm Braden Hudson. I'm an engineer with Unified Fire Authority. My station is in Midvale. This is my second year as a counselor up at Burn Camp, so I'm happy to help be a part of this as much as I can this year. I'm looking forward to next year. And today we are going to be learning about a tiller truck. So there are a couple different types of fire apparatus. There are fire engines. So fire engines are essentially the pumper. They're in charge of the water and flowing water and spraying water. And then the trucks, they're responsible for search and rescue, ventilation, salvage and overhaul, vehicle extrication, and stuff like that. So we're gonna go over the truck today. So this is quite a cool truck. This is a tiller truck. So a tiller truck has two drivers. So it's a tractor on the front and a trailer on the back. The back end has a driver and the front end has a driver as well. So the back end driver is called a tillerman, and he controls the back wheels. So the tiller trucks are really advantageous in small city streets. And when you have to get around tight corners or in like maze-like roads, they're pretty adaptable, and they can get in and out of some pretty tight places. So for how long it is, it does really well. All right. So like Connor was saying with the fire engine, each of us have a different assigned seat. So this is my assigned seat. This is the engineer. This is where the driver sits. Fun fact about tiller trucks is you cannot start them unless the driver in the back has his foot on a pedal. So that way it verifies that there has to be two people in the rig in order to start it to run it. Okay. All right, back here is where the firefighter sits. Firefighter 1 sits anyways. Like Connor said, with the fire engine, our air packs are built into the back, so that way the firefighters can be getting ready on the call, and we have headsets inside that we can talk to each other. So these are our headsets that we have, and the engine is so loud, and if we didn't have these, we wouldn't be able to communicate very effectively. So we put them on when we're driving down the road, and we can listen to the radio, we can listen to like the music radio, we can listen to our dispatch radio, and we can talk to each other and communicate effectively. Okay. So just like the engine, this does have a pump on it. This has a small 300-gallon pump and a few hoses. This is not meant for big fires to be a pumping apparatus. The pump is mainly on here for like car fires, dumpster fires, rubbish fires, kind of things that are small that an engine wouldn't take care of. If it's a really big fire, the truck will pull up, it'll be a ladder truck, and they go do search and rescue and ventilation, and the fire engines go up and they pull the hose and put the fire out. Okay. So this is, like I said, this isn't necessarily made for aggressive interior attacks for fires. So the engineer compartment is really small. I have a few fittings, I have a few nozzles. I can spray water, but it's not usually a ton. Okay. This is also where I keep my gear. Yeah, we've been over the gear a little bit. Okay. So, like I'm sure all of you are fairly aware, in order to be a firefighter here in the Valley, we have to be EMT or paramedic certified as well. So we deal with 90% of our calls are medical calls. So this is just kind of all the medical gear that goes along with us. So we take all of our gear everywhere we go, no matter what. And we always have everything ready because we never know what's going to happen or when. All right, and inside of this compartment, we have a big giant fan. Like I said before, one of our functions as a truck is ventilation. So if there's hot smoke, heavy smoke inside of a structure, ventilation is we go and we get the smoke out, whether that's putting a fan at the door and blowing it out, or we go on a roof and cut a hole in the roof and essentially make a chimney over top of the fire, so that way the smoke goes out that way. Yeah, just get the smoke out as however you can. All right, so this bin, this is where we keep our spare firefighter.
Oh, hey guys. I think it's time for me to come out and get to work.
It's very, very handy to have the spare firefighter.
Thank goodness. Now it's time to go to work.
All right. So once we get the spare firefighter out, we have all of our tools for forcible entry. So if a door needs to get broken into, if it's locked, we have all the tools on this rig to effectively open the door and get through. So if the door's locked and we can't get through the lock, we break it. We get to break lots of stuff. It makes it really fun. Okay. So like I was talking about before, sometimes we have to go make a chimney on top of the roof, over top of the fire. And that's called vertical ventilation. So we accomplish that by using these chainsaws or a rotary saw. We can use the rotary saw to cut locks. We can use it to cut garage doors. And pretty much anything we need to. So even though we have a fire apparatus and we have a pump and we have a tank and hoses, we still all carry fire extinguishers. So this is a water can. All that's in here is water with some soap. And we have a CO2 fire extinguisher, because not all fires can be put out by water. If it's like a grease fire or an electrical fire, you don't really want to spray water on it, right? Because if it's a grease fire, you spray water on it, it's just going to spread the grease and spread the fire. So you have to either smother those fires or put it out with like a CO2 fire extinguisher or a dry chem fire extinguisher, which we have one of those. It's on the other side. So we'll get to that. All right, so inside of here, we have our foam. So if it's a flammable liquid fire, or even if it's just like a trash fire, we put soap inside of our water. It makes the water more wet. So essentially, it allows the water to penetrate whatever is burning more effectively. So that way it extinguishes the fire faster and more efficiently. Okay, just like when you guys wash your hands, you use soap and water. We do the same thing with fires. It helps the water penetrate down to put the fire out better. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go back to this one here. So this is where the second firefighter sits. This is the tiller box up here. So we have our spare firefighter up there in the tiller seat.
Always wear your seatbelt before the vehicle moves. Put it on.
Okay, this is where he keeps his gear here. All right, and we'll hop up and take a look at the tiller seat. Go back where, Rob?
You're good right there, buddy.
So our tiller seat here, if you notice, it does not have any pedals. So it has some pedals, but it's not gas, there's not brake. So the only thing he is responsible for is to push the button so we can start it, and also to control the back wheels. He cannot control the speed or braking of any of the apparatus. That's the engineer's job up at the front. Okay. So while we're up here, we're going to take a look at the ladder. So normally ladders range between 75 to 150 feet in length. They have multiple sections that extend out. Okay. They're hydraulically powered. On the end of them, we have, this is called a water monitor. So if we need to spray a lot of water, or if we need to get water sprayed onto a structure from like an upward angle, we use that. So we put up the stick in the air and we spray the water off the top of the ladder. Okay. All right, so we're gonna head down now. All right, like I mentioned before, sometimes we have to go on the roof and cut a hole, or if we need to go up and look at an AC unit that might be smoking, or if there's somebody stuck on the roof, we have a couple different options. So one option we have is we can use the aerial device that's on the ladder, the big long ladder up at the top that we carry around with us. And then we also have a complement of ground ladders. So the ground ladders, we have three different kinds. We have a 35-foot extension ladder, we have a 16-foot roof ladder, and we have 24-foot extension ladders as well. So if we need to get to the roof, we use the extension ladder. It's usually for most residences that'll reach the side of the roof, and then we put the roof ladder, has a couple hooks on it. We put the hooks out, push it up on top of the roof so it hooks the peak, and then we have some stable footing to work off of if we're on top of a roof, if we need to cut a hole or anything like that. And coming over here, like I kind of said before, we do have a pump on this apparatus. So if we have a pump, we need to have gear to hook to the hydrant. So what we do is we have these gate valves that hook directly onto the hydrant. So we hook them up, we charge the hydrant, and then we can turn on and off the water as we please if we need to. Come over here, it's more gear storage for our PPE, which is personal protective equipment. All right, so this side is the same as the other. We have more saws. We also have more fire extinguishers. We have another water can, and this is a dry chem fire extinguisher. All right, this side closely mirrors the other. We have a fan for ventilation. We have two types of fans. We have a gas fan, and we also have an electric fan. So most of the time we use our gas fan. They're more powerful, they can move more air, but sometimes we don't want the exhaust from the fan going into the structure that we're trying to blow the smoke out of, because if the exhaust from the fan gets inside the structure, it can be dangerous to us. So in that case, we would use an electric fan to blow the smoke out. So on the side, we have some more forcible entry tools. So if we get to pull these out and use them, it's a good day, because that means we get to break some stuff. So we use them to get through doors, get through walls, anything like that. So they're very effective. All right, inside of this bin, we have some swift water rescue equipment. So because we are an all hazards department, quite a few of us are trained in swift water rescue if we have a river that's in our area. So we can, if someone gets taken downstream, we have equipment that we can go and try and rescue them, but also keep ourselves safe. Okay. In here also we have a large area search bag. So if we're going into a structure, a very large structure like a box store, or like Walmart or Kmart or anything like that, we need to do a wide area search. We have rope, so that way we're tethered. We're tethered to the carabiner. So before we go in, we'll attach this carabiner onto something so we can find our way out. Okay. So inside of this bin, this is our vehicle extrication equipment. So we have some pretty nice equipment. So we have some battery-powered hydraulic tools. These work really, really well. All right. So like you saw in the heavy rescue, we have battery-powered hydraulic tools, and we also have corded hydraulic tools that are attached to a pump. So we use these to cut apart cars. If someone had a bad traffic accident, was trapped in their car, they couldn't get out for whatever reason, we use these to get them out. So we cut the car out around them to be able to get them out safely. Okay, so these are the jaws, or the spreaders here. The way they work. Open and close. And then these here, these are the cutters. So the main thing for these to do is they cut, and the other tool spreads everything apart. Okay. All right. Okay, and inside of this bin, this is where the captain keeps his personal protective equipment. So this is all the captain's gear. All right. Okay. And then just like the other side, this side has a small complement of hose appliances. So if we need to connect, if we need to spray water off of the aerial device, we have the right connections to be able to connect a hydrant to it, or if we have another pump or another engine, pump our ladder, which is usually what happens. So if we need to spray water off the top, usually what happens is we'll put the aerial up, spray water off the top, and we have an engine pumping the line. So. All right, and inside here, this is how you operate the outriggers. So the outriggers are these things here. this big plate on the bottom. These come out and these stabilize the base of the ladder. So that way we have a good solid base. We can move the ladder in any direction, 90 degrees, straight up, straight out, anything like that. Some of these ladders, they can go slightly below grade if they need to. Okay. All right. So we're gonna go up and take a look at the ladder panel. Okay. So this is where I sit. So the engineer is responsible for driving the front of the tiller truck. And also, if we have to do aerial operations or I have to put up the ladder for any reason, my job is to run the ladder. So I get to run the stick. Okay. So you do that. It's basically a joystick, just like a video game. Works pretty similarly. So this controls the ladder, up, down, left, right. And then this one controls the water monitor that we talked about earlier. So if I need to move the water stream to the left, to the right, up, down, if I need to make it bigger or smaller, I can do that from here. All right, so I wanted to show you guys another piece of equipment. This is the other side where the firefighter sits. All of our rigs, we have 2 of these thermal imaging cameras. So we call them TIs. And what these do is these can see through smoke. So these use infrared technology to be able to see through smoke. So if it's completely blacked out, you can't see your hand in front of your face, black, thick smoke, we can use these to see through it. So this reads off of heat. So whatever is warm shows up as white. Whatever is cold shows up as black. Okay? So let's take a look at Rob and Mac over here. Do they look a little funny? Yeah, so you have Rob there on the left, you have Mac on the right. So if you notice, Rob is warmer than his background, so he shows up as white. Okay? So these are very, very important tools for us to have. They work very, very well, and we're very lucky to have these specific ones. All right, and just like the engine that you guys saw with Connor, this is where the captain sits. So the captain is our boss. He's essentially our dad in our family. So we have a family together. He's the dad. He's the one that's in charge. He's the one that calls the shots. He has his computer. He has a dashboard to turn on and off the lights. He has his radio there as well. Okay. All right, so that's going to conclude my tour of the tiller truck. I hope you guys all have a great day, and I very much look forward to seeing you guys next year.